Hi there guys, welcome to Boxbread. I'm here to talk about a very good fight in my opinion that's happening on the 1st of September. It sees Felix Sturm going up against Daniel Geale. It's happening in Germany and it's for the WBA World Super Middleweight title, which Felix Sturm currently owns, and the IBF Middleweight World title, which Daniel Geale currently holds. First of all, imagine that I say to you, Sergio Martinez is going to fight Felix Sturm. Who do you think is going to win? If you were in the camp that comes back to me and says, I think Sergio Martinez is going to win, I think he's got too much movement for Felix Sturm and I think he's going to outbox him, then I think, and I firmly believe, that you, my friend, should go and take a close look at Daniel Geale and a close look at this fight overall and really take it into careful consideration when deciding how you think this one's going to go. So, reason being, and I'm not saying Daniel Geale is as developed or as good as Sergio Martinez in that style, he's not. However, in my opinion, Daniel Geale, who I believe is a very good boxer and should not be underestimated, I believe he displays very similar movement and subtle attributes of movement in the ring to Sergio Martinez. The way he's able to slip punches, the way he's able to use his reflex defence, the way he's able to move forwards and backwards against your jab in the ring, against your punches in the ring, and the way he's able to throw explosive straight punches and straight shots and dangerous, damaging combinations. In that respect, I believe that he has some similarities to Sergio Martinez. And I don't want messages saying, what are you talking about? He's nowhere near on the level of Martinez. I'm not saying he is. He's not, bending as low. He's not as elusive or as slick as Sergio Martinez. Very few people are. Okay? But what I'm saying is, he, in comparison with other recent opponents of Felix Sturm, has movement that I believe can work to his advantage if he employs it in the correct manner in this fight. And I really would urge people not to sleep on Daniel Geale. If you don't know much about Geale, look at some of his recent fights. Look at his fight, particularly against Sebastian Sylvester in Germany, where he won the IBF middleweight title against a guy who, in Sylvester, who is not as good as Felix Sturm, not as strong as him, but is still a very difficult guy, or was a very difficult guy to beat on his home turf in Germany. Okay? And also a guy who employed a very good jab early in the fight, and who Daniel Geale was able to take the split decision over. So let's talk about a little bit further about Daniel Geale. He's going to be the underdog in this fight, I believe, with reason. Felix Sturm has the experience advantage. Felix Sturm is a very good boxer. He has beaten some very good fighters of late. He's been fighting some good fighters, and I must give Felix Sturm his due credit for taking this fight, because I believe, as a boxing follower, an avid boxing fan, that this is a top fight in the division. You've got two guys. Daniel Geale is coming. He's defending his title here. He's an Australian coming to Germany. He's done it before. He did it against Sylvester to win the title. Now he's coming over to Germany and he's going to defend it against one of Germany's, most favourite boxers. And he's going to come over fighting for this. He's not going to just lay down. He's got fight in him. If you think of like Michael Katsidis, a guy with a tremendous heart, Geale has that. Daniel Geale has only lost once. He lost to Anthony Mundine in Australia. Big Australian match, for obvious reasons. And he only lost by split decision. He really pushed Mundine in that fight. Okay, so his only one loss has been by a split decision. I really started taking notice of Daniel Geale when he faced Roman Karmazin, which was the fight before the Sylvester fight to get the title. And I thought he looked okay. I wasn't actually aware that he was up at that level at that point. I thought he was a bit lower. But he defeated Karmazin by late stoppage. And then he went over, and I actually picked him to beat Sylvester because I really saw promise in this guy, Daniel Geale, from Australia, who they do rate highly in Australia, and I rate him highly. I think he has really good boxing skills. This guy is pretty slick, and I knew that he had Sylvester's number. You know, Sylvester was coming up to retirement, and I thought Geale's going to take over this mantle, and I really think Daniel Geale has a good chance in this fight. It's important and imperative for me that he expects to face the Felix Sturm that defeated Sebastian Zabik in his last fight. Felix Sturm did say that he worked very hard to change some things from the Matthew Macklin and Martin Murray fights, which he was, you know, below par, and those fights were both very close. He just beat Macklin, who many people felt he actually could have gone either way, and he drew with Martin Murray. He said he worked on his speed and his explosiveness for the Zabik fight, and it showed, because I picked Sebastian Zabik to beat him. I thought Sebastian Zabik was going to be technically superior and he was going to outbox Felix Sturm. But Felix Sturm surprised me. He came in, his jab was absolutely fantastic in that fight. That is an amazing jab he has. I'm expecting the same jab in this fight. I think the jab is going to be key for Felix Sturm. Daniel Geale really needs to watch that tape, and he needs to expect that type of Felix Sturm. Not the Felix Sturm who was just covering up against Macklin, taking shots and trying to come back with quality, but very low volume. Not the guy who, you know, was lackluster, a bit lackluster maybe against Martin Murray, taking nothing away from Martin Murray, but Felix Sturm worked on being more offensive, being able to walk forward and use that jab again, like he had done in the past, to have that stiff jab and dictate the pace with that jab, to hurt his opponent with that jab. He did it against Zabik. He dominated him with that jab. He hurt the guy. Yeah, that's what he's going to have to look to do in this, because Geale keeps his hands relatively low. Okay, he's the type of guy that'll shift from a high guard to a low guard, and he's there for the taking with that jab at times. If you look at the early in the fight against Sylvester, Geale was getting caught now and again with jabs. What I like is he takes risks. He knows he has to take some risks, Daniel Geale. That's why he can get caught sometimes. But this guy is tough. Yeah, he's not the type of guy who's going to get hurt easily. You've got to really hit the guy. You know, he's never been stopped. I don't know if he's ever been hurt, but as to my knowledge, he hasn't really been that hurt. He can throw good straight combinations, Daniel Geale. I'm expecting him to jump back, moving out of the way of that jab, you know, moving out, coming back in with the straight punches. Daniel Geale has a good jab as well. He can employ that jab. What he does very well, like he did against Sylvester, is that he was able to try and keep up in the jabbing department. So when Sylvester was obviously trying to score points with a jab, Geale was coming back with his own, but then he was following up with straight punches. Another thing Geale does, he's very good at, he'll slip under your punch and then come on the attack. And the punch that is really interesting to see if they'll use this in this fight, because I think it can be a very good attribute to him, and you know, it can be a really effective punch for him. He'll slip under and he'll come up with the uppercut, and he has a decent uppercut, and he's pretty accurate, Daniel Geale. That's something Felix Sturm needs to watch out. If he's going to jab, he's got a very good quick jab. He needs to keep it quick in Geale's face, just quick stabbing jab. If he's slow, or he's, you know, throwing silly punches that are not 100%, then Geale has the ability to slip the punch and come through with his own. Yeah, Geale's not the most powerful guy, and I really think if he's going to win this fight, it's going to be by decision. I can't see him stopping Felix Sturm, but he has a really good chance there if he employs all of his boxing skills. Another advantage, what I think in this fight is an advantage for Daniel Geale, which you wouldn't normally associate with being an advantage for a boxer. You'd say it's a weakness. Is that he's a bit of a headhunter. Okay, he doesn't always work the body as much as I would like. However, in this fight, I think it's going to work to his advantage, because he's pretty accurate to the head, and in my opinion, Felix Sturm is so good at defending that body with those long arms, those long forearms, that sometimes it's pointless trying to go to the body with him. You know, you're going to waste your energy, because Macklin really peppered that body of Felix Sturm, and it really didn't make much difference. Towards the end of the fight, he was the one getting tired. Felix Sturm wasn't really slowed down. He just came on strong. I think that could work to Geale's advantage in this fight. If he's going to just look for the head, and he's going to really perhaps neglect the body of Felix Sturm, because you know, it's very difficult to slow Sturm down. Being a good, accurate headhunter is kind of going to, you know, I think on this occasion, you know, not many other occasions, but on this occasion, I think is a good thing. And I think it may work for Daniel Geale to just keep going to the head. He throws good combinations. He's not afraid to let his hands go. He's not, doesn't get in too much of a shell. If he's forced back, he likes to reset and try and come back with his own stuff. That's going to be important in this fight. You can't let Felix Sturm just completely dictate the fight and keep going, keep it at his own pace. So, moving on to Felix Sturm. The experience is on his side. Geale is not as experienced at this level, okay? He's had very few fights at the very top level, particularly against a guy of Felix Sturm's calibre. Sturm has fought on many occasions. He's a seasoned veteran now, Felix Sturm. He's fought a lot of the best guys. He's had some top fights. And he's fighting actively. That's the good thing I like about Sturm. He fights quite actively, It's not really long between Sturm's fights as of late. He's always quite active against good guys. Like I said, he worked on that speed and explosiveness. I think he's worked on his attack, worked more on coming forward. Don't let the guy come over to you and dictate the pace. Like Macklin was forcing the fight to him, and I feel like Sturm felt, you know what, I need to start working on me dictating the pace from the front foot. And I'm expecting Sturm to try and take a bit of that front foot here against Geale, because Geale also likes the front foot, and this is going to be quite a war. I'm expecting it to go quite forwards and quite backwards. One moment you're going to see Felix Sturm coming forward with the jab, trying to catch Geale, moving forward, trying to go to the body of Geale, trying to impose his physical attributes. Because Felix Sturm for me always seems to be big and strong in that ring. No matter who he's up against, he always seems like a big, strong guy up against his opponent. He doesn't seem like he's going to get overpowered. Sturm has a pretty good all-round game. He's good outside, he's good inside. He's pretty good on both. So it's difficult to find a weakness. And I'm expecting him to come forward. Then I'm expecting him to go on the back foot and Geale to try and put some pressure on with those quick hands and combinations. Try and employ exchanges of jabs in there. Like I said, the jab is going to be key. Felix Sturm has an amazing jab. On the Zabik fight, he's got one of the best jabs in the game, in my opinion. And if he jabs like that in this fight, I think he's going to catch Geale quite a few times. And I think he may get a bit on top, dishearten Geale a bit, going later into the fight, perhaps. He needs to maintain, however, that defensive base, because Sturm has a very good high guard, keeps it high, protects the body at the same time, hunched over. If he starts coming forward too much and trying to come through with some punches, that's where Geale has his opportunity. If Geale can sort of lure him in a bit, bring him out of that defensive zone. When you're attacking Sturm, you're coming all guns blazing. Sturm's covered up, he's comfortable there. It's very difficult to break him down, up top or down below. Sturm just has this shell. It's very difficult to penetrate. If you can bring him out of that shell and make him, encourage him perhaps to attack more, to start jabbing, to start using both hands, not just the jab, to start letting the right hand go. It's a bit dangerous, a bit risky, but you open him up a bit. You start opening that shell. You start seeing there's actual gaps to his head for those accurate headshots that Geale has the ability to throw. And if Geale can get him into a couple of exchanges, Geale has he has enough speed to come out on top against Sturm, I believe. And that's how I think Geale needs to do. He needs to encourage Sturm to come out of that jabbing mode, out of that defensive mode, into a more open stance and to open himself up a little bit before he starts attacking. So like I said, I think it's going to be a story of both guys, forward, back. I'm picking Felix Sturm to win this fight by decision. I think it's very difficult to win a decision against Felix Sturm in Germany. We've seen that. A couple of close fights, both gone his way pretty much. Yeah, win and the draw, but both close, could have gone against him, perhaps. I felt particularly the Macklin one could have. You really got to go above and beyond to take this guy's title. And I know Daniel Geale has a title, but he's away from home. This is a home crowd for Sturm. He's very popular in Germany. He's going to have the crowd behind him, giving him momentum. I think that may make a bit of a difference in this one. Going on late, I think Sturm has a chance to stop Daniel Geale. If he gets on top of him with that jab, like he did against Zabik, then anything can happen. Sturm has the power to stop pretty much any guy because he breaks you down. Not because he's particularly powerful, but he breaks you down. He imposes his strength on you. He breaks your will, yeah? And by the end of it, you're just too tired to even, fight against it. And he just comes back and he just overpowers you. That could happen.
I'm picking by decision because I think it'll be a close fight, and I think in the end of the day he'll nip it on the scoring, on the judges' counts. I think particularly late on he can come on strong. Don't be surprised if Felix Sturm is not 100%, if Daniel Geale wins this decision. Don't be surprised. I'm warning you now, when this fight was announced I really wasn't sure who was going to win, because I'm a big fan of Daniel Geale. I think he's really skilled. I think he's a very good boxer, and he's a tough guy to beat. There's been no evidence to suggest he can be dominated. Like I said, the one defeat was against Anthony Mundine, who was also, a top boxer, and that was a split decision where it was very tight. I think this is a very close fight, but I'm pipping it to Sturm. I think it's a very good fight for boxing. I think you've got two top guys in the ring here. Don't sleep on Daniel Geale. However, I do believe that Felix Sturm takes this close decision fight. So I'm going to leave it there. I've gone on quite a while. It's approaching 16 minutes now. Please let me know what you guys think. What do you think of Daniel Geale? Do you actually hold him in as high regard as I do? Because I think he's a really skillful, slick boxer, and I think he has a real good chance here. I don't think he'll do it at the end of the day. I think Sturm will be a little bit too much because of the home advantage, and because Sturm's so experienced going into this fight in comparison with Geale's experience. What do you think? Let me know. As always, thanks for watching. This is Boxbed, and I'm out.